chat the House of Worship or faith-based organization that you are here to represent or find out more about. So if you could do that, the chat button is, right in the middle of the lower part of your screen. It has a little cartoon bubble, and that'd be great information for us to have. I'm Cindy Shepard. I'm the Green Team's Director for Faith in Place, and I'm really excited about the nature-based climate action projects that so many houses of worship and faith communities have undergone. This is our third year at Faith in Place of funding these sorts of projects. And so we're excited to talk about them again and eager to hear about the projects that you all have in mind. For those of you who are relatively new to Faith in Place, and our vision here is that we are diverse people of all faiths, sharing the commitment to care for the earth. And we do that through living out our mission, which is the next slide that'll come up here. Dance party. Woo! Your hosts on today's call are Christina Krost, our Senior Policy Coordinator, who lives in Mattoon, Aiden Meyer, who is a Springfield person and our Central Illinois Outreach Coordinator, and me. I live in Champaign-Urbana, and we're all glad to be with you. You'll hear from everybody as the meeting goes on. We want to begin with a word of gratitude. We're really thankful for the Lumpkin Family Foundation that has made this funding possible for this program. It's really exciting, and we appreciate the broader vision of helping Central Illinois become a place for sustainable, healthy communities that we share with the Lumpkin Family Foundation. So, what does it mean to take nature-based climate action? Maybe an example speaks louder than any explanation could. And so I want to share with you a short video from our friends at Copper Creek Church in Champaign, Illinois. This was a project in our first year, and already the plantings that have happened there are starting to grow and leaf out, and some of them might even bear fruit this year. That would be exciting. So here we go.
Good morning, folks. I'm Tim Bartlett. I'm part of the Copper Creek's Green Team, and I'm here to tell you a little more about Copper Creek Grove. First of all, I want to tell you how excited our team is about the overall campus. We've had a wonderful success putting together a beautiful site plan, a beautiful landscape plan, and we continue to do more work in Copper Creek Grove. We've got about a 10-acre site here at the church, and one of the things we wanted to do is save a little portion of that for a natural area. So right next to the church building, we have a beautiful 4-acre site that we call Copper Creek Grove. The site is consisting of a prairie savanna. Now we know a little bit about our landscape history here in East Central Illinois. Prairies dominated our landscape before we turned it into agriculture, and we had areas that were dotted with tree groves and wooded areas. So we developed this concept for Copper Creek Grove of a prairie savanna. That's kind of the best of a prairie with dotted trees and a mixed woodland. So we've taken this site and we've recreated this prairie savanna for a number of reasons. Now we know by research that outdoor areas, nature, help people connect to God. People have intense spiritual experiences when they're experiencing nature. So we wanted to create a place where people could walk, pray, contemplate, really just be out in nature and connect with God. We know that using native trees and landscape help offset the tough climate and the changes that are coming our way. We've planted more drought-resistant trees and plants We're preserving the soil and we're creating habitat for all kinds of wildlife, insects, and birds. We have about 60 species of native wildflowers and grasses out in the grove. And we've planted that rich diversity of plants to, again, help attract wildlife, attract monarch butterflies, create a wonderful habitat for a variety of birds and other small mammals. So there's many things to explore and to connect with, including all the nature and the native plants. Some of the other goals that the Green Team have is we want to create outdoor experiences, events, and opportunities to connect. We also have a great community site. It's a way to attract more people to Copper Creek. We want an inviting and welcoming atmosphere and encouraging people to come over, enjoy our natural area, use our bike trail that goes along the Copper Creek Grove, walk on the soft trails, sit on the stone seating areas, and spend some time. And lastly, one of the things that we're asking folks to consider is helping with the Green Team. We have a variety of ways to connect. We have general work days that anybody can come and help us plant trees, mulch, pull weeds, and take care of our landscape. We're looking for people to join that would like to continue working kind of in a small group environment that we can connect and do other things throughout the church and throughout the community.
I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, every project is different, and I'm going to have Aiden take over the mic and tell you a little bit about the grant itself.
Sure. Thank you, Cindy. So what exactly is the Lumpkin Nature Grant? So it can range from $2,000 to $6,000 that it's available for up to 7 and 9 houses of worship or faith-based 501c3 nonprofit organizations that are located in East Central Illinois to be able to implement nature-based climate action projects like the one you saw in the video previously. So these projects, it doesn't just have to consist of prairie, but it can also be planting native trees or even carbon sequestration, naturalized landscaping on properties owned by houses of worship or nonprofit organizations. So why do we do this? Why should you do this? So the reason that we do this is to help empower you and your communities of faith to take action within the climate crisis. And we also want to help to implement natural climate solutions that will help mitigate climate change, and also to promote healthier communities with increased access to green space, because we believe that green space is very important. And what better way to do that at your own house of worship for your community? So who qualifies? Faith partners that are located in Central Illinois that you see on this map here of kind of the border. So that's like a list of our eligible counties, which most of you are probably in Sangamon, and I'm not really sure the other ones that are here today, but it's limited to Bond, Champaign, Christian, Clark, Coles, Cumberland, Douglas, Edgar, Effingham, Fayette, Macon, Montgomery. I'm not sure how to say Moultrie, I think. I'm butchering these, I'm so sorry. Piatt, Sangamon, Shelby, and Vermilion. And then where can you make these projects? Where can these projects happen? They can be implemented in East Central Illinois cities, towns, and rural areas. You're not limited because they can range from small projects to large scale ones like you saw in the video. So if you're just, planting some native species around your house of worship, just to make it look prettier, but you want, to be able to plant things that relate to native and not invasive species, that's another idea you can do. So like I said, it can range from small, fun little projects to huge, large scale prairie restoration projects. So when is this application due? Today, we're actually going to walk through the application process so you're able to see how to do it. And you just need to be able to get it done by March 13th by midnight. So some additional requirements that we may have to make sure you're qualified is you must have an existing green team or be willing to start one. And in collaboration with Faith in Place, co-host 2 educational events, online or in person, about your climate project. And you need to track your detailed metrics related to your project, and then write and submit a final grant report to Faith in Place by September 15th. So just kind of keep track of what you're doing as time goes on to see your success, and just make sure you report it back to us so that we can keep track of it as well. So what is a green team? Let's say you don't have one yet and you want to start one so you're able to get this grant. So it's 3 or more people from a house of worship who provide leadership to educate, connect, and advocate for healthier communities. So we have over 200 current active green teams that are all listed on our website. So if you're curious to see maybe if there's a green team in your area, we have a map on there. You're able to go and see your local green teams. And maybe if you want to see what they're all about to kind of like get an idea of what you can start with your own house of worship, feel free to go on our website to check that out. And then each green team is assigned a staff coach. So it just depends on where you're located. So if you're located mostly in central Illinois, it'll either be Cindy, Christina, or I that will take over for your green team. And then the coach, which will be one of us, works with your green teams a minimum of twice per month to implement programs. So we like to keep in contact with you, answer any questions you may have, and help you be successful at your house of worship with whatever projects or resources that you may need. So your liable costs if awarded the grant. So there will be professional assessments of landscaping strategies that are best suited to the property's unique attributes / settings, such as guidance for selecting native tree species to be planted. So, and then there'll also be purchase of native trees, prairie grasses, or other nature-based climate action landscape plants to be planted on the property. A lot of plants here. And then we have some professional services and costs necessary to implement the project, such as contractors, labor, or equipment rental. And then other project costs may be considered allowable on a case-by-case basis, because we know all these projects are unique and different. So we'll work with you to figure that out, and whatever you need, we'll help you get there. And now I'll pass it on to Christina Kroos to walk through the application process. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to share my screen so we can take a look at the grant application together. Can someone give me a thumbs up if you can actually see this? Okay, terrific. Great. So here, let me scroll back up to the top. Sorry, I didn't mean to make y'all sick there. I don't know if I can, make it a little bit bigger. Is that better if I made it a little bigger for you to read? Okay. So this is the actual grant application, which I think someone will drop in the chat shortly, the link so that you can maybe follow along yourself. You'll also get this information in a follow-up email later, but we'll walk through it together just real quick. I will say that my house of worship applied for and received funds through our youth-led green team last year. So if I can walk 2 13-year-olds through applying for this grant, you can do it too. Okay, I promise. It's good. We can do this. Okay, so there's a summary at the top, just explaining what we've already talked about. Your deadline is at the top as well. Again, Monday, March 13th at midnight. Again, as we start to look toward our weather changing and spring is upon us, we need to start getting these applications in so you can start getting money and getting planned for your project. All of your eligibility requirements are on here as well, so you don't have to just remember those off the top of your head. It's all here in the application. But you also will need, if you are a house of worship, you will need, if you're a house of worship or a nonprofit organization, which you must be to apply for this grant, you'll need to get us a W-9 form, and there's a spot at the very end of this application to upload that. And then if you're a nonprofit organization and not a house of worship, we'll also need your 501c3 letter for our grant purposes. So you'll see at the bottom of this where you can find where to upload that. Also, for your convenience, you'll see that there are email addresses linked here. If you get through this application and you're not quite sure what to say or do, there's a quick way for you to contact us. We've got cell phone numbers and email addresses of Aiden, Cindy, or myself. So pretty easy, your name, your location, if you're located in the grant area. And then you'll tell us about, is this project going to be happening right at your physical location of your church, or is it somewhere else? Because it could be at farmland that perhaps you own, or it could be in some land in the community somewhere that you own. It doesn't have to be at your physical location of your church. It could be at other places. So you're just going to explain a little bit about that. You're going to let us know who's doing this application so we can contact that person. You'll tell us about if you have a green team, or if not, if you're willing to start one. You've already heard about that. If you've already talked to Cindy, Aiden, or myself about this project, let us know so we can remember, oh yeah, I remember talking to this person about this grant, and I remember their project. It sounds exciting. Then you'll give us brief descriptions and estimated totals of your budget categories of what you're thinking of doing. Here's an example. When I worked with my youth group green team last spring to do this project, we thought that we were going to plant a rain garden. So we went through and talked about rock, and we talked about drainage, and we talked about certain kinds of plants. And we just kind of said, we'll need about this much for this and about this much for this. It does not have to be down to the penny just yet. This is an estimated total of what you think you're going to need for this project. Turned out we didn't do a rain garden. So I say that so you know that projects change, projects adapt as you start to get down the road, and that does not disqualify you from applying for this program. It's just a way for us to kind of see what you're trying to do here, right? So give us the brief description of what you need. Do you need trees? Tell us how many trees. Do you need plants? Roughly estimate how many plants you think you're going to need. Will you need mulch or rock or something like that? Estimate how much you think that'll cost. Another thing you may want to consider, are you going to hire someone to come and help you do the work? Do you need someone to come and help you draw up plans for the work? Those are also descriptions of costs that you might be looking at for this project. So again, estimated totals, estimated amounts that you think you'll need for this project. Again, somewhere between the $2,000 and $6,000 budget is what you're working with here. So again, this tells you that the grant maximum is $6,000. And so, if you need more than that, do you have a place to source that? Will you be fundraising? Will you be doing it, matching kind of thing? We've had houses of worship do, like adopt a plant, where they have members of their house of worship, pay for a plant. And then they get to kind of say, hey, look, we have this plant that came from our family in this project. So you'll describe the project, what are you trying to do? How big is the site? Just give us some information. Again, no more than 500 words, very brief summary, just to give us a flavor of what it is that you're trying to do. Tell us the vision for your project and how will that support your plans, goals, and mission of your house of worship. I think in the video that you saw from Copper Creek, they had pretty clear definition of like what the use of this land was for, what they were trying to do here. So we would love a description like that. Again, less than 500 words. Is the person who is leading the project, helping to prepare this application? Basically, is there continuity of contact? Who are we checking in with when we get these grant applications? Let's make sure all the parties are talking to one another. We also have a spot here for you to tell us about how you plan to maintain your project. This can be something that requires a little bit of thought and planning. May not go the way you think it's going to go initially, but having a plan for, the year or 2 or 3 after this project gets planted, how will we maintain this project? What kind of maintenance will be required, and who's going to do that? Will you call a contractor out to come and do some maintenance, or will that be something you handle within your green team or within your house of worship? Those are really important things that you need to think about for the long-term success of this project. And then there's a spot for, if there's anything you haven't mentioned yet, go ahead and put it in that box. It's, not required. And then here is the space here I told you about, where you can download a blank W-9 and fill it out, or upload a filled out W-9 if you have it. And then if you have a 501c3 letter, if you're a nonprofit organization, that's where you can upload it as well. And everything is here on the application page. So I will stop sharing my screen and we will go back to, oh, I know, Michelle is going to come on next. We've given you a lot of information, a lot to think about. So now we're going to provide some space for any questions that you may have about this grant. So walked through the application. Now we're going to have a question and answer time with Michelle. So Michelle.
Yeah, just feel free to unmute or drop your question in the chat and we'll be sure we get you an answer.
I'm going to horn in here with an introduction to Michelle. If you haven't met Michelle yet, she's one of our development coordinators and she helps write grants and report on them. She's really fabulous to work with, and she'll be reading the reports that y'all come up with as your projects take shape. So we're really grateful to have her on the Faith in Place team.
Thank you, Cindy. But yeah, feel free to drop any questions.
I have a quick question.
Great.
Okay, I'm Tom Bartels. I'm from the First Presbyterian Church in Springfield. And just kind of curious, in terms of your evaluation process of the various proposals, is there anything, how will you evaluate those? Do you have like a checklist, or how do you determine, let's say, the scale of how well the proposal meets your criteria? Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know if Christina and Cindy, who have done this in the past and read through applications, what are like key things that you all look for? For on the grant side of things, just making sure your budget is reasonable for what, how big your project is the one advice I could give, making sure that's reasonable. But yes, I'll open it up to Christina and Cindy.
I'll take a stab at that. Thomas, we're really interested in the imagination of what you are envisioning your project to look like. We'd like to have people who are clear about their goals and vision for that project. We want to know that you'll be willing to partner with us, especially in the education portion of it. We ask people to do 2 events, and those can be anything from a dedication to bringing in the extension office to show people about how to plant a tree well, or there's a variety of programs, and we can help give you some ideas if you're looking for some. But we want to know that you're willing to work with us and that you're interested in making something beautiful at your house of worship or faith-based organization to impact climate and to build a healthier community.
And I'll jump in here too and say that we have enough funding to do between 7 and 9 projects. And so typically we've been very fortunate that the demand for these projects has met the resources that we have. And so that's how it's worked in the past. And so we'll continue to hope that the amount of projects out there meets the demand, the capacity of funds that we have.
They don't call us Faith in Place for nothing. We have faith, and it's so far it's working out.
Yep.
Yep. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Cindy. Karen?
One of the ideas that we've had involves actually removal of non-native species. And so I'm wondering if that can be included in the cost of the grant.
Yeah, that is definitely in line, especially if you're planning on restoring that area with like natives or trees. That definitely is in line with the grant.
Great, thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
We are undergoing a study right now of permaculture because we've been doing a lot of restoration here at Jubilee Farm for a number of years, a couple of decades. And so we need to learn more about permaculture. And we're doing the foundational course right now. And then we'd like to bring in the professionals to look at the area that we mow so that we can begin to decrease the amount of mowing on the couple of acres that surround our buildings and so forth. So I was looking at your qualifications and what might be covered. So if we have professionals coming to actually walk with us in that area and begin the design process with us, does the grant cover that kind of work that will lead to designing some of the areas eventually? But this is the educational consultation part of it.
Yeah, I think that fits under like the professional consultation part. This project is really hoping that you eventually do break ground and do some of the prairie restoration and the tree planting with the funds as well. So as long as both are incorporated into your proposal, that should work. And Christina and Cindy, do you have anything else to add to that?
I would say what your answer was what I was thinking. I'll also mention, kind of circling back to, there is a report due in September, mid-September, about what you've done with the funds. It's perfectly acceptable to not have had everything planted, everything in the ground, everything growing by September 15th. That project or that report is really, here's what we've done, here's what we're doing, here's the next step. It's a way to make sure everybody's on track and that we have the vision and here's what we've done already toward that. So it sounds like what you have in mind is a very large, maybe over a course of several years kind of project. So you need to let us know.
Small.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But just kind of what is the scope? What is the scale? What's the timeline? It's okay if it's not all completed and in the ground by September, but what's the vision?
Thank
And
you.
what's the plan?
That helps. Thank you both.
Yep, go ahead, Charlotte. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we're thinking about planting some trees, and we have an arborist who has worked on our property in the past, and he has recommended that we really improve the soil by bringing in a lot of compost and digging down and trying to incorporate the compost into the ground. So is that something that we could include in the grant?
Yeah, that is definitely an allowable cost, especially if it's going to help you plant more trees.
And that they will survive and thrive.
Yes, exactly. Mhm. Yep, any other questions? And if you don't have questions right now and they come up later, you can always reach out to Aiden, Cindy, and Christina, and I'm sure that they can get back to you soon. Oh, yep, Rebecca, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I just had one question. This is kind of a quick turnaround for our particular congregation, and there's a lot of approvals and things we'd have to get. Is it likely that there'll be a grant process next year as well?
Yeah, I think it's likely, but we aren't sure about how many projects we'll be able to fund.
Sure. Well, and we have a meeting this Sunday of our green team, so I'm going to run this up the flagpole, and if enough people are interested and willing to work fast and work on it, we may be able to pull something together. But we've been talking about 2 or 3 different things, so I think I'll just encourage people to pick one and focus on it and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, and the application's due March 13th, so you've got a bit of time to pull together the application. We're anticipating on getting funding out by like beginning of April. So that's about the timeline of things on our end, if that helps with your planning.
Mm-hmm. It would. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Yep, go ahead.
Are the materials that you've used in this presentation, are they also on your website? Can we download them? And maybe a second part of the question is, I know you're recording this Zoom. Will that recording also be available for download?
Yeah, I think the recording's gonna go up after this webinar. It'll be emailed out to you, and then I think it'll also be uploaded to the website.
Thank you.
Yes, each one of you who is here today will get an email with that recording and a link to the application and also our emails again. So I know I've seen some of you studiously taking notes. I think that you'll also be getting an email that has most of the information that you'll need to follow up and to move forward with your plans. I want to thank you all for being here today. If there are no other questions, and I'm pausing. All right, well then we will look forward to hearing from you, questions, concerns, and look forward to seeing those applications roll in and working on a natural climate solution with your house of worship or faith community. Thank you for being here and hope you have a beautiful day and nobody blow away, okay?
Thank you.